It's sad when your father hurts you. This is to all the girls and women that have grown up with a father who belittled them and put them down, told them that they're not good enough. And as we grow up, we believe all these things that were said to us. And it becomes what we call strongholds in our mind, a certain type of mindset. And so now as adults, when someone tells you, hey, you're pretty, you don't believe them because you grew up being told that you were ugly. And you go through life comparing yourself to everyone, your friends and your colleagues, all because your self-esteem was slowly being crushed as you grew up by words. Words spoken by someone who is supposed to protect you, protect your mental health, protect your heart. You go from relationship to relationship because you feel insecure, because you believe the lie that you are not good enough, that you'll never amount to anything. You know, for me, the hardest thing to accept was that God is a father to us. A father. I couldn't understand it and I couldn't accept it because God is said to be a father who is a protector and a provider and a shield. And because you grow up not knowing that, it's hard to accept that God is a loving father. And so I ask God to show me that He is a father. When you ask God for something, be prepared because it may not come in the way that you expect. Because He will put you in situations where you will need a provider. He will put you in situations where you need to feel like you are protected. He will put you in situations where your only hope is to depend on your Father. He's done it. And this is not to shame any fathers, but for us to forgive. Whether they are still tormenting us even as adults, or whether they have changed and become better people, I encourage you to forgive them. It's one of the hardest things to do. Every time that you go through something, you think back to the first man in your life who was supposed to protect you, supposed to protect your heart. And he failed you. But I want you to experience the freedom that comes with forgiving and letting go. And it's hard sometimes when the words can still come back to your memory. But I encourage you each and every time to forgive. Forgive, forgive, as God forgives us. When we're young, our parents can do the worst things to us, yet we still love them unconditionally as children. But as you grow up and you get older and you start learning that certain behaviors or the way you were treated, it was not right and it was not acceptable. And all you can do is ensure that you become a better parent. That you do not continue the cycle, the same cycle, and pass it down the generations. There is such a need for fathers in these last days to protect their kids now more than ever, to speak life into their children, to raise them up in the right way, to protect their hearts and their minds. There is such a need for fathers. Sometimes we think, but why did our parents treat us that way or talk to us that way? It wasn't normal and it wasn't acceptable. When you really dig in, you will find that they didn't know any better because they themselves didn't receive any better. They're just treating you in the same way that they were treated. They didn't know any better. They're human, just like us. They made mistakes. We will make mistakes. But if you know better, do better. But the biggest thing is to forgive. Forgive them and love on them. The Bible says that love covers a multitude of sins. It's okay to try and protect your peace and not want to be around them, because we're human, and if they are still putting you down, even as a grown woman, then you don't have to be around them. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to protect your mental health. You are allowed to protect your mind and to protect your heart. And you are allowed to protect your children from the same treatment by their grandparents. God is a merciful Father, and He is forgiving. And we should do our part to forgive, no matter how difficult it is. God bless you. And just to add on to that, God is our Father. He said that He will never leave us nor forsake us. He is our protector. He is our provider. The Bible says that He is the Father of fathers, and He is a father to the fatherless. So if you have not experienced the love, protection, provision, or guidance of an earthly father, trust that God is your Father. He will not fail you. He created you, and He longs to have a relationship with you. God bless you.